From 2014, NASA doesn't show state secrets. A live feed showing a disk was cut when it was noticed. Some really strange people are claiming that NASA's covering up UFOs instead of the more reasonable and likely explanation: the Antarcticans have reached space. Good research on genetic memory does not disprove Darwin's theory of evolution, but a newspaper article journalist feels that that is an acceptable line. Joe Hockey apologizes profusely for being right about a throwaway line that the media are enlarging. ABC fact-check misleadingly claim that poor people pay more because they have less for their cars. ABC fact-check forgets to mention that poor people pay more for their iPhones and extravagant clothing. Following ABC logic, poor people are poor because they spend more while having less. Tostee charged with murder as he remained silent about what he did the morning his Tinder contact fell from a 17th-story balcony. Kellie Lane, child killer and former water polo player, has failed in her last appeal against her conviction. Kellie approached the latest appeal saying she should have been charged with manslaughter, not killing. The High Court disagreed, ruling on the law. However, it is absurd that Lane claims she is guilty of manslaughter when evidence points to the death of her baby was not an accident. Her defense had been she gave her baby away to someone she did not know, not that it had died from an accident. She can now tell us what she did with the body. Russia sends aid to Ukraine in 20 white trucks. The Iranian-backed Iraqi PM is stepping aside too late for those victims of the regime's oppression and incompetence. Sir Cliff Richard is being investigated for an incident involving a young boy in 1985. There is evidence Richard had performed with Rolf Harris and Michael Jackson, but nothing regarding the allegation. A breakthrough in a 24-year-old murder case sees the victim's brother-in-law arrested. On this day in history, in 778, Roland was killed at the Battle of Roncevaux Pass. In later years, the battle would be described as Muslim versus Christian, but was in fact Christian versus Christian. It is a part of major poetry. The French have the Song of Roland, which is their oldest work, and the Italians have Orlando Furioso, which is one of their most celebrated works. In 1018, a Byzantine general employed a ruse to capture and blind their Bulgarian opponent. In 1057, 17 years after killing King Duncan, King Macbeth dies in Battle of Lumphanan. In 1248, the foundation stones to the Cathedral of Cologne was laid. The cathedral was completed in 1880. Apparently, the building contract was not watertight. It was built to house relics of the three wise men. In 1281, Mongols attempted to invade Japan. They were held back by what was called a divine wind. Had they been successful, history would have been different. In 1430, Francesco Sforza, Lord of Milan, conquered Lucca. In 1483, the Sistine Chapel was consecrated. In 1534, Ignatius of Loyola took initial vows leading to the creation of the Society of Jesus in 1540. In 1549, Francis Xavier went ashore at Kagoshima. In 1812, the Battle of Fort Dearborn was fought in what is now Chicago. In 1824, Lafayette toured the United States touchingly 2 years before Adams and Jefferson passed. Lafayette had been the last surviving French general from the conflict of the U.S. Revolution. In 1843, Tivoli Gardens was established in Copenhagen. It is the oldest surviving amusement park in continuous operation in the world. In 1914, Frank Lloyd Wright's Wisconsin home was set fire to by one of his servants, who killed several people there. In 1920, Poland spanked the Soviet Union at the Battle of Warsaw. In 1535, Will Rogers was killed in an air accident. In 1939, The Wizard of Oz premiered, and in Germany, 13 Stuka bombers failed, killing all crew in air practice. In 1941, Nazi spy corporal Joseph Jacobs was shot in the Tower of London. He hadn't stood a chance. He had been expected after being betrayed. broken ankle and a parachute landing, was caught with false papers and money. The firing squad aimed for a small silk patch over his heart, but one shot went through the head. German spies weren't very popular in London. In 1947, India gained independence a day after Pakistan. In 1961, an East German border guard fled to the west. In 1962, U.S. soldier James Jesnock defected to North Korea. Jesnock has married one woman apparently abducted to order by North Korea. When she died, he married another. In 1977, SETI received a deep space signal called the WOW signal, and in 1969 they celebrated that signal at Woodstock. That's it for today. If you come by this video at a later date and you like it, also feel free to comment and share. Spread the love. Be well.